Hello, this is Valerie at My Scrap Chick, and today I'm going to be putting together this new purse box card, and it's got butterflies popping out of it. And on the front, I've included a little pocket where you can tuck this envelope that's included in the file. But this little envelope, it's just big enough to hold another personal note or a gift card, and then you just tuck it back in the pocket. And it will fold flat for mailing, and I will include the envelope in the file. So we'll get started, and I thought I'd point out too, to do this tutorial, I'm going to be using Tracy's new spring papers. I thought they were so cute. But these two prints and then this polka dot print, that's from her collection of papers. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to point out there's 5 little blue butterflies. There's 2 that are on the larger size. I've got one that's a medium, and that's the one that goes on the envelope here. And then there's 2 little small ones, and I just tuck those back on this handle and on the front handle. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those together real quick. And they have a little black body of the butterfly, and I just put some glue on that little black piece and glue it to the center. Having tweezers is really handy working with these small pieces. And now on these are 3 layers. And so what I'm kind of doing is pushing those up a little bit on the edges while I'm holding it. And then I'm going to only put glue right down on the middle part. And that way this will add a little bit of depth in 3D to the butterfly itself. And then we'll put on that little butterfly body. And then the same with this one. Just bend those up a little bit, put some glue in the middle. Whoop. And then just press this down right in the center. And again, add the body. Okay, so now that we have these little 5 blue butterflies ready to go, I'm going to push those over to the side here. And this is the envelope that's going to go on the front of the box card. And so I've already gone through and creased along all the score lines. And then when you fold this up, I never know whether to put these 2 flaps in first. And that way, I actually think I kind of prefer it this way. So anyway, when I do that, I'm going to put glue along here. And then on the outside of this part here. I think I'll do this one at the same time. And then fold that closed. And so I'll set that aside, and I'm going to start with the front of the box. And on the front, like, there is the pocket for the gift card, and then there's these layers here. And so I'll start with the panel that's going to go with the backing for this. And I just think these papers of Tracy's at Paper Closet Design, they're on the site there. These are just so cute. I really like, too, using papers like this because you can resize it to, you know, make the paper larger or smaller for your own needs. Okay, so now I'm going to put the handle on. And I made 2 pieces to the handle. So, like, if you want to put, you don't have to, but if you want to put a handle on the front and on the back of this piece, you can do that. Just flip it over. And then there's 2 pieces that I cut out of silver that are the pieces here that go on the bottom of the purse. And then there's also the zipper that I cut out in silver, and that's going to go on the backing there for the pocket. But I'll get these on first. Okay, and now the next thing is going to be the pocket for the front. And this has tabs, and that's so that when we're going to glue it down using the tabs, and then we can tuck the envelope inside there. So I've scored along those lines, folded them over. And then I'm just going to line it up along the bottom and on the side and press those down. This is the backing for the zipper. Just kind of center it wherever you think will look nice. And then on the zipper. And there's tiny little teeth, and I'm just going to put a little dot on each tooth. And then center that right there. And next, we'll do the daisy. The daisy has the yellow center. And I'm going to put that on the front, and then I'm going to add a set of these 5 butterflies. I'm going to add one of the larger ones. And I think I might put it right about there. So we'll put the daisy on first. And then one of the larger butterflies. Okay, so there's the front of the card, and now we'll set that aside and do the first insert. And on the first insert, we're going to put the daisy on. It's hard to see that white against the background there. And then I'm going to put it on here, lining it up with the cut lines on there. Okay, and now for the butterfly. Now these two butterflies have a few more pieces to them. And so what I'm going to do, the same thing, I'm going to pinch this with my thumb and I'm just going to press it. I'm not going to do a real heavy curl on this, but just enough to give it a little depth. And then put a few dots in the center there. And just attach it right there. And then I'll add these two pieces on the lower wing. And now the center, the little butterfly body, that goes right down the middle. And I'm going to glue that to this part of the insert. And I get to line that right up. And now this insert and the front insert and the back insert have tabs on the sides, and so on the front one I'm going to actually fold the tabs forward, and that will help when we assemble it. Now for the back insert. I think I'm going to do the same thing where just holding it in my thumb, just gently giving a bit of a curve. And then glue right down the middle. And attach it, lining it up right here in the middle. And now for those two colored pieces on the bottom. And now the middle of his little body. Okay, so now we're just going to attach it to this insert. You could actually curve this a little bit if you don't have to glue the whole thing down to it. You could leave it so there's a little bit more dimension. I think I might try that on this one. Just gently. You can see I just gently curved it. And then I'll just put glue on this part right here. But I still want to line it up. And just kind of pull those pieces to give that 3D look. You can kind of play with that a little bit. Okay, and like I said, on this back insert, the tabs go back. So I'll fold those back. Okay, so the inserts in the front are done, and now we're going to work on the back layer. Now this has 3 decorative panels using Tracy's papers. You really need to look at some of her other papers. They're so cute. Anyway, this is the backing. When you cut it out, like on mine, okay, this is the textured side of the card. Or is this one? Yeah, no, this is the textured side. So I want the textured side to be the one I work with because I'm going to fold the sides down. And that way when the card is open, you're going to have the textured side on the outside of the card. Okay, so I'm going to put this layer on first. And you could also add a message on the back here too, in this middle part if you wanted. And I'm going to line that up. And sometimes it's easier to do that with folding the sides. Okay, and then the side panels. Whoop. Okay, note to self, there's 2 more tabs here. These are what are going to be attached to the very front of the card. I almost forgot to fold those down, because when I do that, then those tabs are folded back, and then I can put on the decorative panels. And then the same on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to add the purse handles here. And I did cut 2 extra of the buckles or the hardware for the purse. I think I'm going to put those on the back. I just like giving it a finished look, so when they turn the card over, everything looks great. Gotta get that lined up there. And then I'll flip this over and just Just for a finished look, I'm going to add this handle on the back. I like doing that because then when, you know, when they open the card and they're looking back on the layers, like on this one, you can see that there is the decorative paper right here. So just a finished look. Okay. So now we're ready to start assembling these layers. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the back layer. And on these do not line up at the bottom. They're going to line up right along these edges. And I did that so that you didn't have to use a lot of paper to make these inserts. Anyway, this side of the purse is folded up. I've scored on this line, and I'm going to tuck it in right here. Make sure it's even across there. And then I'm going to put glue on this tab and fold this over. So like I said, it's tucked right up against there. And I'm folding that over. And I'm going to let that dry just a little bit so it holds. And then I'm going to flip the card over like this. And then I'll do the same on this side where I put glue on this tab. And fold this side down. So you can see both sides are lining up, and they're also laying down when you can fold them either way. Okay, and now we're going to do the front insert. And on the front insert, this tab, you want it, this is the tab for the front of the box, but you want this tab folded forward and line it up and snug it right up against that tab. So what I'm going to do is put some glue right here. And you can see I'm going to snug it right up against there, and you can hold that tab up and push a little bit to make sure it's snugged up there. You can even fold it over. And then like we did on the back, I'm going to fold this back over. And now on this one, it's going to be a little easier, but I'm just going to push this tab up. This is the tab for the front. I'm going to push this tab up to put the glue on it. And then just press it down. And so you can see those go nicely back and forth. And so these are the two tabs that are going to hold the front. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this whole thing flat. I'm going to put glue on these tabs, and then I'm going to line this up at the bottom. So we get this glue on these two. And I'm going to line it up at the bottom, and I'm going to line it up right along the top. And there. Okay, and now the fun part. We get to add these other butterflies. And you can pretty much put these anywhere you like, but I'm going to do like I did on the other. I'm going to put a blue one here and on the back part. So just put a little dot of glue there. Attach him to that handle. And this bigger one, I think I might actually, I think I'll put him right there then. Trying to decide which is a better place to put the glue, probably on the handle. And then I'll add another little one. I'm not sure where I'm going to add that one. This one is going to go on the envelope, because when I tuck the envelope in here, and this might be a good idea to go ahead and tuck the envelope in. Before you put the butterfly on. There. Okay. And now, where to put this next butterfly? I might even tuck him onto a wing. I'm not sure. I think I'll just put him on the other side of this handle. And there you go. And it is kind of fun to pull this out, put it at an angle. And there we have the Purse Full of Butterflies box card. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.